best dream. I dreamt that Canada had finally abolished the Senate and everything was just perfect. Why can't it be real? It's going to put me in such a bad mood for the rest of the day.
I mean, maybe back in 1867 it made sense to have a Senate when Canada just had its confederation. There's all these different regions divided. They need their little representation in the House. But nowadays it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, half the provinces want to get rid of it. Stephen Harper wants to reform it. So now we just got to ask ourselves the question. Does Canada really need a Senate?
And the answer to that is no. We need to say goodbye to all this bicameral bull and stop pretending that we need two chambers to do exactly what one chamber is capable of doing.
Now, let's examine what the Senate actually does on a day-to-day basis. They have these committees like finance, energy, human affairs, etc. Now, while these are nice and official and well-intentioned, what's the point of actually having them around? I mean, last time I checked, I'm pretty sure the House of Commons had their own people running their own little committees. What was it called again? Oh right, the Cabinet. And then we have departments that back up the Cabinet ministers and do pretty much the exact same things the senators do. Except while the senators just file reports about what needs to be done, the cabinets actually go out and do it. The second important job of the Senate is to look over bills that have been passed by the House of Commons and make sure they're acceptable before they can become legislation. Sort of like spell checking a document before it's ready to be printed. I mean, sure, the editing process is important, but do we really need 105 editors looking over and revising this stuff? You know, it's a bit of a slap in the face to the members of Parliament, pretty much saying that even though we elected you and chose you to represent us and make good decisions for us in Parliament, we want these unelected representatives to come in and check up on you. Oh, and by the way, in the official Canadian order of precedence, they rank farther ahead of you. And they're making almost as much as you. You know, maybe if the Senate was a hard-working, stand-up group of individuals, then people wouldn't mind having them around so much. But it's so hard for us to make sure that these guys are motivated and that they're doing the best work that they're capable of. They're not elected. They stay in office until they're 75. Their pay is guaranteed. And the only really real requirement of their job is not to miss consecutive sessions of Parliament. These ridiculously low standards allowed the Andy Thompson fiasco to happen. Now, this guy would miss Parliament all the time, but he just made sure never to do it consecutively. Once everybody found out, he blamed it all on health reasons. But why was nobody checking up on this guy for 14 years in the first place? It basically proves that the Senate has absolutely no accountability. I mean, someone working at McDonald's gets checked up more than the Senate workers do, and they're definitely not pulling in 132 grand every year.
And speaking of money, let's take a look at what these senators actually make. They make an annual salary of $132,000. Multiply that by 105 and you get almost 14 million. And that doesn't even include the cost of travel, which these guys are encouraged to do every weekend to go home to their home provinces. I think it's time to borrow from the Rob Ford School of Politics and just stop the gravy train in Ottawa. If you want to kill a deficit and get rid of wasteful spending, then abolishing the Senate is the best way to start.
The Canadian Senate is more outdated than disco, and it's time to just pull the plug on it completely, give the work that they do to better, more hard-working bodies. If Bob Dylan was Canadian, I think that his hit song would have gone a little more like this. The answer, my friends, is to abolish the Senate. The answer is to abolish the Senate.